Okay, hi Charlie. I've had a look through your draft and highlighted areas that you will need to work on. My first thing that I need to say is your editing is not your usual standard. A lot of very confusing expression, Charlie, where you'd actually work pretty well at getting that a lot more concise and better edited in your narrative and your messenger essay. But moving on. So I've highlighted here, it's the apostrophe in the 1950s. It's not an apostrophe, so it should just be 1950s. Please just correct that throughout. I'm not going to highlight it all the way through. Yeah, you just got to look at some words that you're using that they're not right in the context. So with a very similar company, Coca-Cola, which in hindsight introduces extreme advertising and promotion due to this historical rivalry. In hindsight means looking back, so I'm not sure why you're using that. And just too wordy. They're in major competition with Coca-Cola, which promotes a similar product and which has led to them spending millions of dollars on advertising and promotion. Now, what do you mean here? Due to this, Pepsi continually provides their print media advertisements with innovative and contemporary aspects to encompass this drink as the right choice. What you're basically saying here is they spend millions on getting people to buy Pepsi by making them think that they want to drink Pepsi rather than Coca-Cola. You're really complicating the expression of your ideas, Charlie, and it actually is detracting from a clear analysis. Now, you say that they contrast in purpose. I don't know why they have the same purpose, which is to persuade their target audience, to create or build an interest or desire in their target audience in order to make them remember and wish to buy the product. So just make sure that you're checking these little things. Form. Yep, you're kind of stating the obvious that if it's a Pepsi campaign, it's not that interesting. It's kind of obvious that they're promoting a Pepsi product. Yet they are seen from two opposite publicity methods. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are they different forms? Because you seem to say that the 2015 one is also a print media. So why are they two opposite publicity methods? So just be very careful here, Charlie. Your editing is very difficult. The 1950s advertisement appeared as a magazine ad, though not specified from initial research due to its dated era of the 50s. What do you mean here? And if it appeared as a magazine ad, what kind of magazines would it have been placed in? Would it have been placed in Fisherman's Weekly? Would it have been placed in Bunnings' catalogue? This is what you need to show your understanding of. It would have been placed in women's magazines of a more sophisticated nature. So I would be thinking perhaps Vogue or House and Garden, or you need to have done that research. And then the 2015 ad, is it just a poster? So where that reached American billboards and bus stops. But why? You have to show, here I've written, show your understanding of why the positioning of advertisements is important. Are they placed, would it have been placed in a billboard or on a billboard in the middle of a desert highway? Would it have been placed in a bus stop outside an old people's home? So you really do need to show your understanding that these marketing campaigns are about positioning the advertisement in order to gain the most direct route to its target audience. So would it have been positioned in shopping malls where people can buy the product? They've got to do it. They've got to show these things, places where A, they're going to remember it until they're in a position to buy it, or B, even better, they're in a shopping mall, they see the ad, and then they're wandering around Woolies doing their shopping, and they see the Pepsi, and they reach out and buy it. Words like the print lacks embrace of the product. I'm not sure what you mean by embrace. Embracing means hugging. So you need to just check that. The explosive backdrop drops focal attention on the product. Why don't you just say the vibrant and explosive background focuses attention or immediately grabs consumers' attention? It's a really attention-grabbing advertisement that you can't sort of walk past it and not notice it. The simple monotone color scheme lacks this. Well, you're kind of evaluating here, and I think at the moment what you need to understand that Pepsi being Pepsi, that 1950s ad was as effective in the 50s as the Sofia Vergara ad is today. You have to put yourself in the mindset of the 1950s housewife. They were less sophisticated. So that would have looked like the height of sophistication. But we'll come on to that when we look at your visual analysis. Purpose. Well, directly under the heading of purpose, you immediately start talking about target audience. So you need to talk about the purpose. Now, it's very clear. Go back to the PowerPoint. The purpose of print advertising is to persuade the target audience to remember the product and to build a desire or create a desire within them through creating an emotional connection that makes them want to buy the product. Now, you need to work out what the emotional connection is, and I'm not sure that you've done that yet. The strategy of the 1950s print is to persuade cola drinkers that Pepsi is a light drink that reduced weight gain age. I'm not sure that it is saying that. It's saying that if you're a sophisticated, beautiful young woman, you're going to want to drink Pepsi because it doesn't fill you up. It is going to help you keep your wonderful figure, and you're going to be like her. Just as this one makes us think we're going to be like Sofia Vergara if we drink Diet Pepsi, irrespective of when you then go and have 4,000 Big Macs. So I think you've sort of slightly gone off at a tangent here. Have another look at what they're saying. They're basically saying men will love you better, you will be happier and better looking if you drink Pepsi, because it means that you're a woman who cares about their figure and their health. This strategy change is due to the irrelevance in today's society of Pepsi trademarked as being unhealthy. Charlie, editing, please. I don't really know what that means. I think you're moving away from purpose to social context, because if you're talking about obesity and sugar levels, then that comes under social context. Okay, and you haven't actually yet addressed what the purpose is, which is to persuade their target audience through creating an emotional connection with them and focusing on a desire. Is it sex appeal? Is it happiness? Is it health? I don't think it's really health, but you need to look back at that PowerPoint printout that I gave you of the various desires and values, and you need to decide which one. Okay, target audience. So you sort of touched on target audience under purpose, and now you're telling me that print media advertisements tend to target a key audience basis to therefore gain connection and relevance with the certain viewer. Charlie, editing. Just focus on who the target audience. Again, you've done all this writing, but you haven't actually said who the target audience is. So I think, as I said in the lesson, a really good clue to the target audience of a product is to look at the model that they're using. So they're both aimed at, this one is definitely aimed at women. Now you decide what age. Is it 20 to 30? I would say so. This one, you're right, it's aimed at women, but I think you're right, it's also aimed at men because she is a sex symbol, made famous through the hit comedy series. So she appeals to both men and women. Women aspire to be her. Men want to kiss her. So this is what you need to look at, and you need to be more specific. You haven't actually addressed that. So you're going to need to go back to your target audience. Just be careful here. Don't use con and conning. I know it is conning, but actually when we're talking about media, we talk about persuading. You could talk about manipulating, but conning is the idea of a sort of, I don't know, somebody in a back alley conning you out of your money. Be careful. The image of celebrity endorsement, it's not a sense of authority unless the celebrity, it depends on the product. When we talked about the soccer boot, yes, it gave a sort of sense of authority because you've got an elite athlete choosing that soccer boot. But this Sofia Vergara is not about a sense of authority. It's about sex appeal, pure and simple. So you're going to need to cut, edit, tidy, and be concise and actually address the target audience. Think about male, female, demographic. Are they aspirational? Are they young, professional, working women in this one? I think they are. In this, it might be a younger, it's a very broad audience here, but you're going to need to do a little bit more work on that, Charlie. Okay, so going on to social context. Being an aid of appeal towards trying to boost energy and digestion. That's not the social context. The social context, you need to look at the role of women in the 1950s compared with now. Did they have a similar role? No. In the 1950s, the role of women was much more confined to being housewives and mothers, whereas now Sofia Vergara epitomizes this ideal of the strong woman, strong, sexy woman. And you haven't really addressed that. You're talking about this malnourishment evolution, and I don't know if that's from your research project or what, but the 1950s ad draws on the history of malnourishment evolution. Again, editing is confusing, Charlie, but I think what you're trying to say is that they're focusing on, well, the first one I think is focusing on the idea of women wanting to be attractive to men. We look at a bit more of the wording here. The modern woman. So again, it is about this idea of being the modern woman. Good sense in diet. She eats light, drinks light, and keeps her youthful figure longer. men like her better. God, it's so sexist, isn't it?